People of YouTube, it's Multiplier here, and this is as terrifying as I can possibly look because we're looking at terror drums. But I think I look more like a teapot with the handle and spout action, so not really that terrifying. But yeah, what is going on in this video? It is all about looking at the Cymatics terror drums for dubstep. Also going to give you some super useful advice, that's short for regarding, making dubstep drums good and better, etc. So, first of all, I'm going to show you some of my favorite sounds from this cool sample pack. Yeah, it's a pretty full-length sample pack. I was going to say little sample pack, but it's not really little. It's actually got hundreds and hundreds of stuff in it. So, I'm going to say mid to full-length sample pack action happening here. And it's basically terror drums for dubstep. So, if you listen to modern dubstep or you know what dubstep is, I don't have to explain it. It's basically drums for that. That is one of the two big mistakes I see with people doing dubstep drums. They, first of all, choose the wrong samples. These samples will solve that problem because they're the right sort of samples for dubstep. And the second thing I see people doing wrong, I'm going to explain in a few moments' time. But first of all, let's have a look at some of these sounds because there's a few categories in particular that I think are mega dope. So, first of all, we have the weird snares, and check these guys out. Yeah. This is what I need in a snare. And let me tell you why these snares are amazing. So, we all know that when we're doing dubstep, we need the snare to be like, whoop-pow! It does need to hit you really hard because it's dubstep. Dubstep's all about impact, attitude, aggression. It's just got to hit you hard. There's no getting around it. This isn't some subtle, nuanced house and techno. It's got to go whoop-pow and slap you in the face every time the snare hits. And all these snares do it, but not just that. There are loads of snares that hit you nice and hard. These snares are also interesting. That's one of the things I always look for in all music is interesting sound design. So the fact they've not just got weird and interesting snares, but it's also weird and interesting snares that also hit you hard, that's a winner-winner chicken dinner merge sort of situation. So I just absolutely love this. It's probably, yeah, this is definitely my favorite folder in the whole pack, the weird snares. Just because they hit so hard, but they're also interesting. I'm all about interesting sounds. So mega props on that little bit of the pack. Super dope. And my second favorite bit of the pack is the fills. Where have the fills gone? Percussion maybe? Yeah, drum fills. Yeah. And I love the fills because I suck at making fills. Well, I can make good fills, but it just takes me forever because I'm not a drummer, so I have to basically do it trial and error and just try things out, try different patterns, transpose it up and down, try different samples, change the timing. It just takes me forever to do a drum fill. So what's really nice about this is I can literally just, when I'm writing a track and I'm being creative and I just want a fill in there because I know I want some sort of fill, I can just go bing, ding, 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 ding. I want you, drag it in. 4 seconds later, I have a fill in my track, which would have otherwise taken me ages to make, and it would have distracted me from working on, I don't know, bass or whatever else I'm doing at that time. So having just a really nice, it's quite big as well, quite a big folder full of fills to dive into whenever I need is really cool. I really like it. Some really cool sounds in there. So yeah, mega props on that section too. And also there's another section I wanted to show you quickly, which was, where's it gone? Is it the effects or the kick section? Yeah, the impacts there. Is it these ones? Yeah, some of the sounds in here. Have some of that. Love it. So there's some cool sounds in here. This would be my third favorite folder, the impact. Super useful, super necessary in the dubstep. Righty, that's a bit of a flavour of this Cymatics Terra drums for dubstep, and I'm going to tell you the super important advice about drums. I forgot to tell you something at the beginning. This pack is available with some sort of link below, and I think you also get something like 23 drums if you click the link now or in the first week, something like that. Click the link and you'll find out all the details. If you like free drums, or if you want lots of drums for a little bit of money, check out the link below. You'll love it. Bingo, bango, bongo. Right. What is this really important advice about dubstep drums I have? So if you've ever watched, what's his name? Blonde dude. Friends with Dr. P. Flux Pavilion. Flux Pavilion. There you go. I'm like in some sort of game show. Flux Pavilion. If you've ever seen Flux in an interview about production, one of the things he always talks about, he's got lots of good stuff to say. One of the good things he talks about is whenever looking at dubstep drums, you want to basically have your dubstep drums getting you nodding at that faster of the two tempos, because dubstep drums is either 70 BPM with some double time drum action, so that'll be the double time head nod, or it's 140 BPM with half time snares, in which case you want to get your head nodded in at normal time. Either way, you can look at it from either side. Let me show you what I mean. That'll save me actually doing some talking and actually doing some demonstrating, and I can also show you some more sounds at the same time. So let's create the simplest possible setup for the dubstep. So we'll do 140 BPM. Therefore, we need to have a kick on the first beat of a bar. So we'll find a nice big kick. That one will be fine. We'll drag that out into arrangement view, get rid of the fade just because good habit to get into. Bring that down in level, -6. So let's loop a 2-bar section. Right click, loop selection. Cool little trick I learned in a Skype session that someone asked me about. And then snares. We need some snares. Let's grab a weird snare, a fantastic snare. It's super fantastic. Oh, so many to choose from. Oh, that one's gnarly. Let's do that one. Right, snare action. And because we're at 140 BPM, we have to put the snares on the 3 instead of the 2 and the 4. So you see how we got 4 beats in a bar? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 140 BPM, so we go half time, snares go on the 3. Whereas if we were at 70 BPM, it would be all sort of 2 and 4. So that's just something to wrap your head around. And then we also need that same snare there, so it's a 3rd beat of the first bar, 3rd beat of the second, and this is basically all you need for a dubstep drum loop in terms of a kick and the snare. Yes, you can add in additional kicks and snares if you want, but these are the first 3 things you always put in. The kick starts the bar, the kick defines the start of your musical drum thing happening, and then your snare is defining basically the tempo of your track in general and giving you something to work around. So great stuff. So let's get in that double time feel. Right now we have that 70 BPM, that kind of slow vibe, which is cool, but by itself, it's not got enough energy. We need some things giving it a double time feel. Now, we could do that with bass modulations, or we could do it with drums. So let's do it with drums. So I will grab a hi-hat loop, and I'll try and find something that has that double time feel as this is playing. A good little test, if you're nodding your head double time without thinking, that's a sign you're onto something. I could literally choose any of these. Pretty much every one of these hi-hat loops is well made and it works. Lovely stuff. So let's just drag in that one. It's a nice simple one, and yeah. So now it's not just got that slow moving vibe of having the snares at 70 BPM, but it's got that double time feeling, which is giving it that head nod. And let me explain to you why that is amazing and why that makes dubstep. And also, to be honest, drum and bass sound really, really good. This is exactly the same logic as to why people like drum and bass. It's basically this juxtaposition of these 2 different speeds that are different by a factor of 2. So that's just like math terms that probably didn't mean anything to most people. So what do I mean? We have the snares happening at 70 BPM, which is really slow. It's kind of this sort of thing. So if you ever been to a dubstep night or a rave with dubstep or anything like that, people are basically dancing in a particular way. They move their body at 70 BPM, so it's kind of slow. It's not too energetic. It's just vibing out. But at the same time, when you have this double time elements dotted in there, that gives you something to work with. So you can kind of have this kind of fast, energetic feel without having to move your whole body at that faster tempo, if that makes sense. Because you don't want to be moving super fast at 140 BPM. You're going to get tired, and that's too much effort. I'd rather sit down, to be honest. But what's nice about this is you can move at 70 BPM, but at the same time, you can either throw the guns at 140 BPM or just kind of work. Let's say you move forward and back, you can kind of work an intermediate point, which kind of gives you that intermediate between the 70 BPM, if that makes sense. So if you see people, people used to call it skanking to dubstep, then they kind of move backwards and forwards. But then with that double time, it gives them something to work with. So they're kind of doing this sort of thing and then throwing some guns, or I don't know what you want to do. You can lasso things if you want. I don't really know. I don't know what people do these days, but yeah, that's the idea. It's getting that 70 BPM snare vibe, but also chucking that faster thing, get that head nod in, and then that gives you something to work with, because it's just really nice because you get that fast feeling, but at the same time, you don't have to move your body like a maniac, because it's too much effort. I can't move at 140 BPM. That's 15 to 16 BPM too fast for me in terms of movement. I'm not a fan of moving. I like sitting down. Like right now, I'm sitting down. It's fantastic. I recommend it. Sitting down, brilliant. Sitting down is the best. It's that bomb. And I got distracted. I was talking about sitting down. Forgotten what I was saying. Drums. That's what we were talking about, but I've said everything I need to talk about anyway, so I think we are fine. If you missed a bit, rewind, spin back, watch again. Make sure you definitely didn't miss out any important information, and then click the link below to get these Terra drums for dubstep. I was going to call them Terra dubstep drums, but it's maybe Terra drums for dubstep. Is that the same thing? Terra drums for dubstep. I suppose you could call them Terra dubstep drums, but they're actually called Terra drums for dubstep. I've said the word Terra drums quite a lot, but that's cool. Now it's in your brain. You can click the link, get it, sweet. You know what to do. It's dope stuff. And oh yeah, I think in the first week from today, there's free stuff that's not free after the first week. But even if it's not in the first week, because I don't know, you're watching this in the future, which maybe won't even happen. I mean, I don't know how time works, but maybe if you're watching this in the future, click the link anyway. Check out the pack. You're going to love it. And yeah, sweetness, banging samples, knowledge about drums. What more can you want in a video?